Obviously, Alabama is one of the best offensive teams in the country. I think they lead the country in scoring, averaging about 90 points a game. Um, they're number four with about 11 and a half threes per game. They make over 12 in their wins. And so they're, just a very dangerous team because they all shoot it so well. They could put five guys on the floor at the same time that could shoot it. Um, they have got depth. They were a little thin on the front line, but one of the players that I guess was suspended is eligible for the Auburn game. Imagine that. And um, so they've got great depth. And um, I think, I know that Coach Oates has challenged his team many times publicly to play physically and play, aggressively and question their toughness. They played really physical, really aggressively against us in Tuscaloosa. I think that one of the things I want to mention is in our rivalry, and it's important to me, is because while there have been great crowds on the road on some of our road games in the SEC, and overall the crowds have been great, and I really, really am proud of the league and every institution for having developed really good fan bases. I mean, it's at Alabama, at Mississippi State, at Ole Miss, been as good as it gets, sold out, and it's been terrific. I want to remind our fans to just also be a little bit mindful of the language. Like, I think we can be wild and crazy and have fun. I think sometimes you tendency for language, and that was one of my 21 days of prayers was I gave up a couple things, but one of the hardest things was every now and then to stop cussing, and so I'm not perfect at it either. But I want our fans to be mindful of that at Auburn. It matters, and sometimes it just doesn't need to be that way. But very excited about the game, excited about the students coming out, and I would imagine because it's going to be such a tough ticket, just like a few other games that we played during the course of the season, that they're liable to be out there tonight. So.
A topic that's kind of come up a lot is just how close this team has especially become over the course of the season. What did you see from them to kind of go from that 0-2 week that you guys had to then bounce back, win at Ole Miss, go 2-0, and kind of, I guess, regain some of the momentum that you guys had? Maybe there's something from the makeup of this team that allowed for that.
Well, yeah, I've always believed that, and I've said it many, many times, that I can help us win some games. But that really, truly, players win championships. And I know it sounds kind of goofy. It's just true. Like, when they can not only just hold themselves accountable, but not be jealous of another man's success or trust each other to be able to look around the room and go, look, we can handle this. Obviously, in the second half against Ole Miss, Chad Baker took a lead at halftime and said, look, we beat these guys for two halves last time. They played, he built on what I started, and look, they played great. We're only down 9. I mean, can they play that well again? Well, I think we can have something to do about it. And then Chad took over and go, look, we're not going to let this happen again. We know, and I think it was actually Chad's combination of challenging his teammates, but also trusting his teammates and also believing in his teammates. And like one of the things I had said, which I thought was just as important, is I thought Janai Broom's first half, where he didn't really score, he was in foul trouble, he never panicked. He never got rattled at all. And I thought that was really, really good, because we got a little rattled at Alabama, got a little rattled at Mississippi State, and they would not allow that to happen. And I thought that had a lot to do with their closeness. I think that's where it boils, their friendship, their respect. Part of it is, again, in recruiting. I tell guys at the end of every season about, I'm going to continue to bring in really good people. And guess what? When I'm out there recruiting, you're going to want to know Dylan Cardwell or Janai Broom or Trey Donaldson or Chris Moore or Leo Berman or Jalen Williams. And I can look at all you in the eye and go, you know what I'm saying? KD Johnson, you know what I'm saying? and I tell my guys returning, you're going to like Chaney Johnson. You're going to want to play with Denver Jones. You're going to want to play with Aiden and Chad and AD. And that's that's been I think who we've been for a long time.
Bruce, in the first matchup, they got really hot from deep early. Second half, you guys, they didn't shoot as well from deep, and you felt like, I remember you saying you felt like you guys defended better on the perimeter in the second half. What's the key to kind of doing that for all 40 minutes against an Alabama team that's going to challenge you as much as anybody?
I mean, look, you just got to make sure their shots are contested, and they're going to make some, and they're going to miss some. Sometimes, that there's not much you could do about it. Now, can we not give them offensive rebounds and second chance points? We could do something about that. Can we, guard them in a certain way where they're not getting as many open shots? Yes, we can. But we can't always can't stop them from making contested shots. And they've got some guys that obviously can and have done it. But it's obviously a key to beating them.
Emily Grace.
Coach, earlier today we got Steven's perspective on Chad taking initiative at halftime. It was awesome. I'd love to hear your perspective on that and how he's been able to earn the respect of this locker room in such a short amount of time.
Who, Chad?
Yeah.
Well, I think I did hopefully gave you that answer a little bit with what before. But again, it's I do think part of it is just trusting each other and believing in each other and knowing that we have the ability to step up. Now, we're going to have to step up. This is right now Alabama's in first place. Right now they're the best team in the league right now. Tennessee's got the one win. I've been talking about Tennessee probably being the best team, and I still think they are, but Alabama's in first. And so we have an opportunity to, if, like I said to the team, if we're going to think about having a chance to compete for this conference championship, we got to get one of these on the road that we're not supposed to get. Ole Miss was one of them. They hadn't lost they haven't lost yet. Now they have. So we got one of those. We're probably going to need a couple more if we're going to stay in this hunt. And you got to win all your games at home to have a chance to win a championship. So we know what it is, and I'm sure the guys will be ready.
In the two road losses, Jalen didn't have his normal stuff on offense, and then last week he had 37 points across those two games. What does that say about him and just kind of his importance to this team that when he gets going and he can get going kind of like that again?
Well, it's not, not giving any scouting report information away to say that when Jalen's played well, we've won, and when he hasn't, we haven't. It's not rocket science out there, But what it does say is Jalen's he's improved, he's grown, he knows his game, he knows his teammates, he trusts what we're doing, and he doesn't mind the pressure. So he's got a tough matchup. That's a real tough matchup at the 4 spot or the 5 spot, and for us to win, he has to win his matchup.
It's kind of another thing that's been talked about, even with the last Alabama matchup. It's just like I think the status like this is the first time you guys have faced Alabama here in a ranked versus ranked matchup. That might be wrong, but it's like kind of how this series has improved to the point where this is a potential game for the top of the SEC standings twice a season now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there are 7 forms of championships between Auburn and Alabama in the last couple of years, whether it's regular season or tournament championships. It's been Auburn or Alabama, and so we're proud of that we're part of that, and I know that there's a moment in SEC history right now that's been the case. It'd be okay with me if that continues to be the case. I just the Alabama victory means more because obviously it's a great rivalry. We want to win the Iron Bowl. This game matters more to us. It matters more to our fans. It matters more to Auburn family. It matters more to me. It matters more to my players. We get that. But it also matters a lot to the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee. It also matters a lot to our seeding. And it also matters a lot right now as to who's going to win the championship.
Hey, Bruce, I was just going to ask you about Trey and Aiden.
sort of the last 2 games, Trey being in that starting spot, Aiden coming off the bench. How what have you seen? What do you like about not just Trey starting, but Aiden
Yeah.
now working with some of the guys off the bench?
I think Aiden has actually liked playing with the second group a little bit because he hadn't played as much with KD or with Chad or with Dylan or just different combinations. Um, and you know, it's a position those guys have both done a great job of not turning the ball over, and that's really important for point guards. And yet we're a team that, you know, we're in the top 4 or 5 in the league in scoring. Our offensive analytics are good. Because they're the youngest guys out there, they're the most challenged defensively, and they continue to be, you know, challenged because of their youth and their inexperience, and they both done a really good job, and they both bring different qualities to the game, but it's the only position on the team that for the floor that we're young, and I don't know that anybody in our league has got, and this is another one of those research projects for Marlene, who in our league has 40 minutes with only, at point guard, with only 1 year's experience? I don't think anybody. And it's not even close. And those guys have done a really good job.
Bruce, the end of the first half against Ole Miss, Denver got on a run, hit that 3, got an and one, you know, and he had a big week last week as well. Just how do you feel like his offensive confidence and just kind of, you know, his importance has kind of grown over these last couple weeks because he's been obviously doing that with his defense.
Yep. We don't want to make more of Denver's play now that he's made a few buckets, because what it says is, you know, hey, all I got to do is, you know, score a few more points, and they start writing about me or talking about me a little bit more, and that's just human nature, right? And so, yes, his offensive productivity, making shots or putting balls in his hands to make some plays, that makes us better. But we're not even in the conversation unless he's guarding. He and KD are going to be the primary covers on Sears. Sears is the leading scorer in the league. He's potential for the player of the year in the league. If we can hold Mark Sears down, our chances of winning are much better. And Denver Jones and KD Johnson and our backcourt are going to have a lot to say about that. So when it comes to impact on winning, their thoughts have got to be, how do we keep the leading scorer in the league from going off on us like he has? And then if along the way he's making a few shots and making a few good decisions, that helps us for sure.